certainly, I guess, where things are now going into this holiday weekend with all of the security, you want to make sure everybody knows that's in place.
Right. So obviously, we're expecting a busy weekend, 4th of July weekend. We have some of our officers placed on 12-hour shifts. We have some of our specialized units placed on 12-hour shifts with some of their schedules altered so to make sure that we're covering the weekend. We know there are going to be a lot of people out. We're also preparing for the Peachtree Road Race on Monday morning. So going to be a busy weekend. We want people to come out, enjoy the city, have a good time, but we want people to be safe while they're out here. So, you know, the normal things, you know, don't drink and drive. There are plenty of rideshare services, taxi cabs. Make sure that you're utilizing that. Also, some of the issues that we see along the 4th of July weekend is celebratory gunfire, and we would want to discourage people against that. You will be arrested if we catch you doing that, and it's something that is extremely dangerous. What goes up must come down. We do get cases where those rounds do come down and injure people or worse. So we want to make sure that that is not something that we're experiencing this weekend. We're going to have a lot of people on the street, a lot of officers on the street looking for criminal activity, and again, we want people to just come out and be safe. If you see something while you're out there, if you see something suspicious, something that doesn't fit, go ahead and call 911. Let us know about that. Parking for some of these events is going to be an issue, so we would encourage you to look at rideshare services, MARTA, and parking off-site just because of the traffic congestion and things like that around these venues. So also, vehicle break-ins are a big issue. Don't leave valuables, especially not firearms, inside of your vehicle. They're easily stolen. We've gone over that many, many times. We're having way too many firearms being stolen out of vehicles and ending up immediately in the hands of a criminal.
You mentioned some of the officers will be on 12-hour shifts. Is that not department-wide? Is that just targeted to certain areas, certain shifts?
It's most of the officers that are on the street are going to be, so our field operations division, most of them are going to be on 12-hour shifts, and then some of our specialized units as well. And that's just to make sure that we have that extra coverage to make sure that the weekend is covered, as well as the Peachtree Road Race.
A lot of officers are, of course, paying attention to the new law in Georgia about carrying guns, and I don't know how much of a difference that's making in what officers are trying to be aware of, especially in crowds.
So, you know, we've had people carrying guns in this state for a long time. You know, there isn't a lot that changes with us when it comes to that. So if you had a permit, if you were lawfully carrying, that wasn't something that we would go up and grab somebody just because they simply had a gun. We're still in that same space. But when we see somebody that's armed, engaged in criminal activity, that is a completely different scenario, and that is something that we're going to be looking at, and that is something that we'll be addressing.
In years past, when international incidents have been at the forefront of the news cycle, you have talked about that kind of security as well. And we've never had a credible threat that I'm aware of year after year, but where do things stand as far as being aware of that kind of trouble that any city can be a victim of at any time?
So that's something, we have our own Homeland Security unit, and we also are in touch with our local, state, and federal partners. We stay on top of looking at all types of information coming in, intelligence, looking for these types of threats. And when we get them, we of course would respond accordingly. And so with this weekend, it's really no different. We're going to be looking very carefully for any threats like that and paying attention to them, and then certainly responding if needed.
I think it was 2 years ago when we had across the city several instances of fatal gunfire at Auburn Avenue and other addresses you can probably remember. How are things different now than maybe even 2 years ago as far as trying to protect against that?
So some of the things that we're seeing more now than we used to is arguments, simple arguments often, that end in gunfire, that end in somebody being shot or somebody being killed. And it's something that's difficult to patrol against or for us to fight, because we can be there in a known criminal area. We can address criminal activity that we see. What's difficult is when someone gets upset over something minor. It happens in family gatherings, gatherings amongst friends, inside of establishments. It's where just a simple argument that used to maybe people would just walk away, and now there are more and more people choosing to resort to violence over something like that. And you know, it's something that's certainly troubling to us. Um, it's hard to wrap your head around. You have somebody that's now, their life has changed forever from being shot. And then we have many that are shot and killed. And then the person that did it, we're going to investigate, we're going to find out who you are, and we're coming for you. And then that person who over just a minor argument is going to spend the rest of their life in jail. So it doesn't make a lot of sense. I think that people need to do a better job with managing their arguments, managing their emotions, and there needs to be a point where obviously you just walk away.
The city's working every day to try to increase camera coverage across the city. How is it different now than maybe it was just a year or two ago, and how is that helping you having more eyes on the city in addition to the 12-hour shifts you have?
So we've had our video integration center for a number of years now, but one of the things that we've done recently is this new program called Fusus, and that allows for officers to pull up a lot of our cameras on their laptop in the car, desktop computer, but it allows more eyes to be out there looking at things going on throughout the city. And it helps us to be able to pull video pretty quickly from a crime scene and get that evidence that we need to track down somebody who just committed a crime, locate a vehicle, and things like that. So it's something that has been very beneficial to us since that initial rollout of the video integration center. This is just even better.
I think just a couple of weeks ago you posted some video showing officers responding to someone who was seen on one of the surveillance cameras trying to get into cars. The officer was able to respond very quickly and make an arrest.
Yeah, we've had a lot of arrests on people trying to break into cars and successfully breaking into cars, especially the downtown, midtown area. The officers there, you know, it's something that they experience on a regular basis. Of people going through parking lots, parking decks, looking for vehicles with valuables inside. So it's certainly a problem. That's why we encourage people not to leave valuables in their car. But it's also something that we look for. Our cameras, the security cameras at these establishments and businesses have been great, and they have helped lead to the arrest of many people for this.
I know that the city's got a summer safety plan that the chief has talked about and the interim chief has talked about. So what is it that you're demonstrating here with this visual?
So a few weeks ago, we rolled out our summer safety plan, and we've had some details that have been quite successful with that. And one of them we pushed out some information on recently was we had our gangs unit, along with some of our zone specialized units, respond or concentrate on several of the parks where we were experiencing some criminal activity. And we ended up with a person that was wanted for stealing packages off front porches. We caught him during this detail. We had a number of people with firearms and then a number of people with narcotics that were selling inside of a city park. And, you know, so it's something that we see often with that type of activity, another level of violence with that. A lot of these people are armed, and some of these folks did have guns on them. So we're going to continue with those types of details throughout the city. We're going to have some of our specialized units teamed up with some of the zone units, and we're going to be concentrated on different areas looking for anything that's going on, any criminal activity. So it's been very successful. We're going to continue with that throughout the summer. And the officers are just, you know, we're putting in a lot of work. They're doing a great job out there.
And just to wrap up, to sum up, specific to this weekend, this holiday weekend, what is going into place besides the 12-hour shifts that you're targeting, you're focusing on? I know that every year, for example, I think you now put buses and big garbage trucks at major intersections for the Peachtree to try to prevent any trouble in that regard. And so, I mean, you're used to big crowds, big events in a high crime time.
We are, you know, we've dealt with a number of large events. This is not something that's new to us. These busy weekends, they're something that we pull off quite well. We have great partnerships with the local, state, and federal authorities, and then also with different city departments to assist us with some of their garbage trucks and different vehicles to block off the parade route or the race route and different things like that. So we're going to have the route for the Peachtree Road Race, which is typically from the Buckhead area down into Piedmont Park, down Peachtree Street. We're going to have that route blocked off. That's going to start early Monday morning, and it'll be blocked off into the afternoon. We want to make sure that people are aware of that, staying out of that area. It's something that happens pretty much every year, but we still will have people that are not aware, taken by surprise, but we're gonna make sure that where we have those major intersections, that they're blocked off properly, and that we're not gonna run into issues. We're gonna be prepared for that.